This is Joe Thomas, and this is how I was set free. My name is Joe Thomas, and I was an angry individual. I grew up pretty rough. My dad was very abusive, um, alcoholic, truck driver, never home. My mom had died when I was 4. Beat on, neglected. He would spend, days away partying with the women in the bars. Basically raised by my sister and brothers. They pretty much beat on me too. So I grew up angry, and with that anger, angry people are angry towards others. I neglected other people. I took that abuse that I was taught and exhibited to other people. And not only that, I was angry with God because he took my mother at a young age, and I've got put into a orphanages, in and out of orphanages as a kid. Went to prison when I was 18 for selling dope. I was angry about that. I was feeling rejected and abandoned by my parents, by family. I had a chance to stay with them or go to a home. So I grew up angry, got married, you know, out of prison. I knew it wasn't the right woman. I took the anger and bitterness, resentment out on her. It caused a divorce. I was in church one day, ran across a dude named Polly. I had the basic, criminal attitude, or what they call the felony attitude. I had that. I had that attitude, where I couldn't be messed with. I kept myself isolated. I wouldn't really communicate much. One day, Paulie walked up to me and was real creative in his approach. He says, "You know what, man? I know this place called Set Free. If you know anybody who's struggling with anger or bitterness, resentment, or or drugs or alcohol or any other thing that's keeping them bound, tell them to come by and holler at me, And that really stuck with me because I knew it was God talking to him, because he used any other kind of technique, it wouldn't have worked. I would have saw through the baloney, but there was something real about this guy. I could relate with this guy. He was a street person, like I was, growing up, pretty much raising myself. I checked out this ministry called Set Free, and first time I went in there, I heard a testimony, and it was all God's plan. Heard a testimony of a person who was struggling with the exact same things I was struggling with. And I was like, okay, now this is different. This I can deal with. All this fluff and Christian and ministry and talking about this, that, and the other thing, I really wasn't about all that. I wanted some substance. I wanted to talk about the real stuff. I wanted the dirt. I wanted, I'm an ex-con, and what can Set Free do for me? How can I be set free of this anger, this bitterness, the resentment, this unforgiveness, this rage and anger that I had towards my dad and God for taking my mom at an early age, and a failed marriage and divorce, and all these things that I were coming to that I kept under the rug, under the surface, and hid it the best way I could in a work environment. But at church, I kept myself isolated because I didn't feel like I measured up with the Christian cliche of what a Christian was supposed to represent. So in this time, I learned what we did methodically was a 12-step program that was very unique, because we didn't deal with we dealt with the drugs and alcohol, but I did a 12-step program involving the heart, in my opinion. And I learned to deal with anger, bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, rejection, abandonment. I pretty much had all of them. I haven't seen a case yet that was like me. I mean, I was the angry dude. I was the isolated dude. I was the lone wolf. I was the guy who nobody really approached, and I didn't approach anybody. If you didn't come to me and talk, I really didn't speak to you because I didn't have time for you. And even if you did, I had such a veil, I had such a covering, I had such a hard attitude that I was unapproachable. But Paulie had a unique way of reaching me with because he was hard himself, and had he come to me any other way, it wouldn't have worked, and it was all God's timing. But he started dealing with me. He started checking me and challenging me and using me, using me before I even knew I was ready to be used. And in that process of being used, God worked out, all that anger and bitterness, and it was pretty miraculous how God transformed it all. And through that, and with that, God's using me and to do miraculous things, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful, and it changed my life. If I told somebody why Set Free is beneficial, it is life transforming. It is like a butterfly or a worm that's caught into a cocoon, and it manifests into a beautiful butterfly. It is like taking something that was once broken, and as the Bible says, that all things are made new. And I'm a completely different person. I have been completely transformed and totally ratified of the old person that I was. And it's like night and day. Set Free is a ministry. It's a specific calling. And everybody suffers with something: anger, bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, rejection, abandonments, addiction, strongholds, lust, perversion, pornography. There's so many things that this program can help assist that it's useful for everyone. Everybody could use Set Free at some point of their life. With that being said, it's transformational, to say the